welcome to round 4 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast for the week of November 1st. I'm Catherine Haleko, and I'm here with Terry Morrow.
Hello.
And Nicole Eridix.
Hi there.
As moms of teens and young adults, we survived those little kid days, yet we're still rethinking the decisions we've made all through our kids' lives and worrying about what's going on right now. Today's Thursday, which means it's time to give into our obsessing. And today we're obsessing about what we do to help our kids. This is inspired by the episode of Only Murders in the Building that Terry and I watched this week and discussed on round 2. So you can go back in your feed a couple episodes and listen to that if you'd like. But it raised the question, how far do you go to fix things for your kid?
Presumably, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched this show, which has now had its season finale and we're only up to episode 7, but If you haven't, just like, as we talked about yesterday, just kind of skip ahead about 60 seconds and then you can listen to the rest of the conversation.
Right. Yes, because what a particular parent did on this show was basically implicate someone else in a murder to protect their own kid. So we are going to assume that none of the 3 of us or any of our listeners have done anything like that, but maybe you've kind of helped take care of a little problem or help your kid gain an advantage in some way. Like,
never.
Have you done anything like that? I don't know. I mean, I am such a rule follower that I would have a hard time. But, of course, there's all the privileges that we have and our kids have, that does, put that thumb on the scale in certain cases. But I don't know if I've done anything kind of that stretches the boundary a little bit.
I know my mom definitely did stuff for me when I was a kid, because she knew people. She had friends who were involved in things. And I remember there was one time I tried out when I was a kid, I tried out for a part in the community Playhouse's production of The King and I didn't get it. And my mom knew our church organist who was doing music for the play and had a word with the director. And suddenly I had a little part. Wasn't a regular part, but I was one of the kids and I danced with Anna for about 30 seconds. So, and there was, I think, at least one other time where I wasn't going to get into some group and my mom talked to her friend who knew the director and I got in. So I wouldn't say everything was smoothed over for me, but there was definitely a few times where she was able to get me something that I wanted. And other times where there were things that I wanted that she was not able to. So that was like, well, wait, fix this, come on.
Where are your powers when I need them?
That's right. She couldn't get me into the debutantes for all my friends. But, so, I don't think that she had anybody sent to jail in my place or anything like that, but she definitely was looking for ways to smooth things out for me. And she definitely felt it very hard when that did not work out. But with my kids, I'm thinking, to some degree, when you have kids in special education, your job is to fix things for them by going to meetings and talking to people and arranging for them to be in a certain situation. And I made a very big deal about being involved in the school. So I got to know people, and maybe people did things because they knew me that they might not have done if I was just an anonymous parent in their caseload. I know there was one situation where, in the second year of middle school, my son was in a group with some of his friends, and I wanted him to stay in the group with some of his friends. So they just put all of his friends in the same class as him for all 3 years. And the second year, they had a teacher that a couple of the kids did not like and did not want to be in her class the following year, but they wound up being in that class the following year because they were doing as I wanted and keeping my kid with his friends. So I don't know to what degree the parents know that it's my fault that their kid got the teacher they hated 2 years in a row. I guess I could have said something, but I kind of liked her and my son didn't seem to have a problem with her. And hey, they're all together again. Isn't that great? So, perhaps I was guilty of doing that. I would have had I had the opportunity if somebody had said, hey,
right.
you want to fix this for your kid? Sure. But it is sort of moving that. Spoiler alert again, fast forward about 60 seconds. The incident in the show involved a young person with a disability and a parent who wanted to be able to fix that and wasn't able to fix that, so fixed other things. And none of those things, I mean, there was nothing to fix in the first place. And so that was sort of a theme. And, I don't think I've tried to do anything along those lines in terms of trying to fix my kids specifically. It's a really difficult line.
Right. Because when are you advocating and when are you kind of interfering in a way that's not appropriate?
Yeah. And you want to maximize whatever therapies or treatments are going to be helpful without saying like, I must find the thing that will make this all go away. And, the purveyors of said therapies are not always clear on that line either. So,
right.
It's difficult. And, but pretty sure I've never done anything
actually criminal.
In my head, maybe, but not in actual fact.
I mean, as a teacher, Nicole, how do you deal with stuff like that? Like, did you have parents who were trying to make inappropriate requests?
All the time. Yeah. Yeah. But I think as a teacher, it's easy to deny, like, do you know what I mean? Because you have your policies that you lay out and you can always refer back to those or the school policy or the administration policy. There's a million people to blame it on other than just you. Like, there's dozens of ways to get out of things. But what I really, just thinking as you're all talking about this, I saw this in two areas with my own kids as they were growing up. And the first one was, of course, parent volunteers. And you all wonder why I did not volunteer. I that culture, the parent volunteer culture at our school had a very strong influence on what happened to their children. It influenced classes, it influenced opportunities, it influenced awards.
I was one of those parents, Nicole. That was me.
But it was blatant. And
it has to be like
and
facilitated by the school. You know what I mean? Like I mean, Terry, you could have been,
yeah.
You were volunteering and you were involved and you were a squeaky wheel, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you got everything you wanted.
Well, no, but
this really bordered on bribery in a lot of ways.
I totally would have bribed people if that had been on the table. I should have tried it. Dang.
Like, it was a very, very toxic parent volunteer culture. And it was the same kids that consistently had the right teachers and the right opportunities and the right awards and like, it was just constant, the right roles and performances and such. So so I see it from both sides. So the teachers who are allowing this to happen, they're enabling it because you have a million reasons to say no or a million reasons to get away from that opportunity. But the teachers were enabling that behavior too. So it was just so that's why I have a huge aversion to parent volunteers. I was so tainted by this horrible experience. The other place where I saw a lot of parent activity making a difference was sports.
Oh yeah.
School sports. And once again, I think that it was largely, there was a influence over staff and the people that were on staff that allowed it. But man, the parents or the kids of parents who were there all the time definitely got some extra playtime. It was so obvious. Maybe it was just our school system, our school district. I don't know, but
yeah, I'm sure it happens everywhere.
Very, very toxic and inappropriate and just not fair. So I guess my reaction to that was just to back away and back down and walk away and not have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
So, as a result, I left my kids out there to fend for themselves.
Yeah. My strategy was I'm just going to get out there and volunteer just as hard and get my kid in the mix. But I had the ability to do it. Many people don't. So I don't know. And there was one instance when my son was in, I guess it was first grade or so, where he was in a class with a young teacher who was doing some really, really interesting things, but the other parents didn't like it. And there was other things going on. Their kids had been hadn't been moved up. This was self-contained special ed. Hadn't been moved up for a number of years. They were in the same classroom. So they were like really wanting them to get something more advanced and stronger, and felt that what this teacher was doing was inappropriate. And they basically, got the principal in their corner and maybe the special ed director. And so the teacher wasn't allowed to do these things she was doing, which were really good for my kid. But I was only one person and I had pulled enough strings to get him in that classroom. So I didn't have much leverage. But I can see how it can be used for negative. And probably there are people who felt I used it for negative. But I was totally using it for good. Don't listen to them. I wasn't like those bad parents, Nicole. I was super good.
But were you metaphorically just shoving parents out of your way and kids out of your way as you raced to the front of the room? Were you? I mean,
I'm very small. I think that would be difficult. I could maybe have wended my way through low. I could have gone low and gone through their ankles, maybe. Probably would have. I mean, one of the things is I was probably one of the few parents in the special education classes who was volunteering. So I didn't have too many people to push out of my way.
Right.
But
I don't know. I feel like you're in a different category.
Well, that's because you're my friend. If you interviewed certain people at the school, they might have had different things to say.
Oh, that Mrs. Morrow.
Oh, my goodness. Yes. There was quite a lot of that. So,
dear.
If I had known, like a little money under the table. So, which class is my son going to be in this year? Could I make a little donation to your favorite charity? I have these lovely cookies. Oh, well, it's complicated. You do want the best for your kid. And sometimes you feel your kid is at a disadvantage. And so you want to remove that disadvantage. And sometimes it involves, passing it on to somebody else. It's difficult.
Well,
but Nicole, you would not have liked me very much had we been in the same school. I'm so glad that we live in completely different parts of the country and you've only ever met me on the internet.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, that was just one aspect of your life. It doesn't define you as a person. Although for some of these parents it did.
Well, I would say it defined my life for the amount of time my kids were in school. Absolutely.
That's true.
I tried hard.
But
oh well.
Well, okay.
I didn't have the killer instinct though, so that may have been the problem.
Right.
It would stop short of sending somebody else's kid to jail for something my kid did.
I think I'm just one of those kids that, I would have bin that kid in the class that just saw through all the praise. What? When the parents came at me, it was like, no, I don't, not buying that.
Yeah.
Skeptical.
Yeah.
I think I had a healthy dose of skepticism when it came to the parents that I worked with. But it wasn't prolific and there weren't a lot of them.
Just that
in when I was teaching.
Yeah.
In my kids' schools, it was prolific. Anyway, so complicated.
It's just been your confessional for this week.
But parents, if who are listening and you do have an influence over other parents who want to find a good podcast to listen to, you can certainly influence their decision have them listen to ours.
Push it to the front of the line.
Exactly. Upvote it, please. That's it for today's round 4. Tune in tomorrow when we'll share our roundup of things that we've been using or enjoying lately that we think deserve a shout out. Find all our episodes at parentingroundabout.com and talk back in the comments there, on our Facebook page or on Twitter, where you will find us at Roundabout Chat.